All right, welcome back to the Andre Duke Show with Carter Smith. How is everybody doing this evening? We're just getting it going uh, on here this evening. If I can get everything set up, that would be a miracle in itself. Um, it is, what is today? Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, I believe. Tuesday, fine Tuesday. Uh, just checking it out here. A lot to go over. There's pretty big stuff going on as far as the I think the Ole Miss quarterback thing is something to be brought up. Lane Kiffin said in media availability. I think that is the big thing, but also before we really dive into the show, can you hit the like and subscribe button and help us grow this thing? That is as good as money to us. Appreciate everybody watching. Just getting it rolling here. Gotta do some retweeting. That's what happens when you are a one man band here. That is the big thing. Just getting it going. So there is that. Appreciate everybody watching. How's everybody's day going? Started off with that. We got some interesting news to pop up on. Tomorrow, the NCAA committee votes on the transfer portal. I think that's big news. Some people don't think it's big news, but I think the news for that is huge. We're about to see a little bit of a cataclysmic shift in college football. I think that is something to be said there. Some people don't agree with the one-time transfer, but I think that it's going to help coaches more than anything get a clear picture of what their rosters are going to look like going forward. That is something to be said. I just feel like with pretty much the way the transfer portal has been shaking out the last, I don't know, couple of years, it is completely kept chaos brewing in college football. There's a lot to be said out there, so there is that. I know a lot of people get bored with the transfer portal. I think that it's something that needs to be talked about, and I don't think some folks want to have a clear position on the transfer portal. I just feel like that you've got to get some of that worked out, because if you don't get that worked out, it's going to completely keep chaos brewing. Also, on the other end of it, I believe Richie's going to join the show tonight at some point. Got to see Rich. He's going to be here. That's pretty much what we got going. There is that. Just looking at some things. Dabo Sweeney had some big comments today about his record, the 1-2 start. I thought that was interesting, to say the least. I don't know what else the Clemson folks want out of Dabo. I mean, Dabo's been good there for the most part. I think he said he's won the league 8 times in 10 years. Brian Kelly comes out and I wouldn't say apologizes, but I guess it would be an apology. BK comes out and apologizes to the reporter. Um, just something that had happened with his comments following the Florida game. Um, there is that. I think that there is a lot to be desired on the Brian Kelly end of it. It makes it tough on him because they just came off an emotional win, and I think that when it comes down to it, I mean, he got pissed because of the comments that were made. Um, there was that. I think that it's one of the things that happened, but I guess we can jump into the AP poll real quick. Um, Ohio State 1, Penn State 2. I mean, obviously they play each other. LSU, Miami. Yeah. Just people trolling. Georgia, Oregon, Florida State. I think that for the most part, I don't really have a major issue. A lot of people have a big issue on Notre Dame still being in the top 25. I know I have a lot of Notre Dame fans that watch the show. It's one of those things that, am I shocked that they are in the top 25? No, I'm not really. Um, I think that Notre Dame being in the top 25, that's just rolling the helmets out there for the most part. But Indiana, Vandy, I think USC's down there because USC needs to show more. I think that that's a fair thing. Also, West Virginia beat Pitt. Pitt season over. Yeah, that's a fact. Yeah, Pitt is tostada. It's over for the Pitt Panthers for the most part. Also live on TikTok. Appreciate everybody watching over there. And if you would be kind and hit the link in the bio on TikTok and come on over to YouTube, that would be great. And also join the conversation there. And tonight we're going to open up the phone lines as well. But in order to get the phone line number, you got to come over to YouTube. So West Virginia will beat Kansas too. It depends on where that game's at, but there is that. Here is the bottom 25 out of the top 25. The bottom, Oklahoma State is taking the crown home this week. Virginia Tech, obviously, they fired Brent Pray. There's that. I'm not sure why Arkansas State is down here, just one spot above UCLA. I mean, they obviously didn't get it done against UCLA, but it's one of those things that it makes it tough. Makes it tough for Arkansas State to get anything going. Florida, obviously, there. Clemson, Colorado in there. Boston College. Some teams a little bit throughout the season right now underachieving. I think that's kind of what it is. Kansas State, they dropped one to them, dropping that to Arizona on the road on, I believe that game was on Friday night. Them dropping that on Friday night at Arizona did not help their cause at all. I think Kansas State might be one of the teams on quit watch if they lose another one. I could see that 100%. Just one of the things that they have going. I'm not sure that they can. I don't know if they'll be able to rectify this season, to be honest. Just looking something up here. But I think Kansas State is dangerously close to being on the quit watch list, to be honest. Um, I think that they are at a finite right now. They're at a crossroads. Um, it hasn't gone well out there in Manhattan. Well, there's that. Uh, hold on, I am looking something up. But yeah, that's pretty much where that's at. Just replying here, but yeah, that's kind of where they're at. All right, I will get that done. Um, but yeah, the bigger thing is that I think that at a certain extent, they got to get it rolling out there in Manhattan. I am worried about the quit watch on them. Just getting all my notes around. But yeah, we'll move it on. We'll go to Will Muschamp here. This is a funny thing. When Vandy beat South Carolina last week, Dwayne Young tweets, walking out of a stadium where your son's team blew out your former employer that paid you $13 million to go away is the ultimate dad's flex. That's Will Muschamp with his son there. I found that hilarious on the whole buyout end of it, and just something to take a look at. I think that that's funny to me. I find it funny. They don't. I think sometimes where people get it twisted is that it's rough on. You got to remember that these guys are also people too. They have kids that go to college. So Will Muschamp kind of getting the last laugh on South Carolina there. I find that hilarious, to be honest. Um, there's that. Just going over some more headlines. Let me pull up the Dabo thing. Dabo said, "Hey, listen, if Clemson's tired of winning, they can send me on my way." Sweeney said, "I'm going to go do it somewhere else. I ain't going to the beach. Hell, I'm 55. I've got a long way to go. Y'all going to have to deal with me for a while." And another quote from Dabo was, "I would just say if you don't believe in us, because we've lost 2 games down to the last play, we'd be 1-2. Y'all didn't believe in us anyway, no matter what," Sweeney said. Um, so there is that. He did point out the records. I am trying to find that. Dabo also continued to say, "I work for the board of trustees, the president, the AD. If they're tired of me leading this program all the way, leading this program, all they got to do is let me know and I'll go somewhere else." So that's kind of very poignant out of Dabo. He normally doesn't. Sometimes he dives in the press conference well, sometimes, but it's one of those things that Dabo does, but it's kind of wild that it turns into something like that now. But I also think Dabo is creating a turning point in the season for his team, pretty much just for to rally everybody, in my opinion. And also Scott or Ryan Silverfield takes a shot at Georgia speeding violations. I thought that was very interesting. He did throw something out there to the effect of, this is what we do here at Memphis. We don't drive 900 miles an hour. I thought that was interesting on his part to say that publicly. I figured he would have kept that in the locker room. I'm sure that has gotten back to Kirby. I would not be shocked if Memphis ends up, or one of his teams ends up on the Georgia schedule, maybe sometime in the near future. I would venture to guess that Kirby might want some get back on that one. But there's that. Also, Jeremiah Smith becoming the fastest player in Ohio State history to reach 1,500 receiving yards. Most games with 100-plus receiving yards and a touchdown. The quickest to do it, Jeremiah Smith, Harold Fannin, Travis Hunter. The big thing is that Jeremiah Smith is really good. So there is that. I'm still kind of stuck on the Dabo end of this. I think that I find the Dabo stuff very interesting, to say the least. I don't know where the Dabo stuff is going to fall out. I would not suspect Clemson would ever make a move until he's done. Also, Arch Manning's comments today. It said Texas quarterback that I'm reading from ESPN. Arch says, and I quote, "I know the type of player I am," Manning said on Monday as he answered another round of questions about a poor outing last week in the win over UTEP. I know I'm going to play better. We're going to be better as an offense. So I venture to say that, and of course they have Paul Feinbaum attached to the Arch Manning story. I don't think Feinbaum is doing Arch any favors by just bringing it up every single day. I don't think that that's a good thing for him. It's very, very interesting, to say the least. I don't know why they keep on bringing the Arch angle up. It's just very bizarre. Do you think Arch Manning is hurt, or is he putting too much pressure on himself? Well, I don't know. I mean, it's tough to say if Arch is hurt or not, just for the simple fact of, I mean, there's the video out there of him grimacing when he threw the football. I think that Arch might be hurt, to be honest. I think he definitely might be hurt. But, I mean, last year, Quinn Ewers tore his, I think it was his oblique off the bone, and nobody knew until he went to the combine. So I think that there's something to be said there. I think that there's a lot there. I don't know where it falls off the map at, but is he hurt? Probably, maybe. I don't know. I could see it. Sark got pretty defensive about it. Oh, yeah, he did. Sark got super defensive about it. I think that fantasy football question, golfer love this week. Who do they play? Let's look at the NFL schedule real quick. We'll go week 3. Who does Detroit have? I would go Love this week, just for the simple fact that Jordan Love is playing the Cleveland Browns. But yeah, I could definitely see Arch being hurt or dealing with something, not necessarily hurt, but dealing with something. I uh I kind of think that it's one of those that he can still play, but I don't know if he's limited or anything like that. It's just one of those things. I guess we're gonna dive in and do it right now. Alabama, Ty Simpson, post Florida State is 2-0, 89% completion percentage, averaging 304 yards, 13.2 passing attempts, 7-0 touchdown rating. Ty Simpson playing really well for the Tide right now after the Florida State debacle. I think if everybody that I talk to and a lot of people that I follow are on the stance of, or on the stance of when it comes to Arch, that they would love, or not Arch, but Ty Simpson in Alabama would love to refrain on making too big of a too big of statements on it until after they play Georgia. Um, that is something that I would kind of like to do there. I think that I think that there's something to be said there. Um, I think that that's kind of where that is at. I don't think that it's that big of a deal to wait and see what they look like against Georgia. Georgia's going to be the best team they play, I think, all year. But Auburn is also looking good. Um, we'll have to see what Auburn looks like when they go down to Norman. But also, programming note, we are going to be streaming that game as well. We'll have a live stream going at probably about 3:20 on Saturday. We're streaming that. Anything can happen in sports, but I'm still riding out Kansas. We'll see. We'll see how that see how the Kansas thing pans out, but appreciate the follow. Appreciate it. I just look at this and I think to myself, what is going on in South Bend? I'm hoping Richie jumps on soon so we can get that aspect of it. Really enjoy Richie's opinion on that. He will be joining here shortly. There's that. Just looking at some updated things really quick. But yeah, I look at this and I think to myself, well, there is that. Notre Dame, I guess we'll get into it now. Notre Dame dropping some time, or dropping 2 games. This was Marcus Freeman's quote via ESPN.com. I spend a lot of time with our defense. That's obviously where my background is, and I'll consistently or continuously do that. Freeman said, I will spend more time. Maybe if that's what's necessary, I will spend more time. For some reason, my computer is frozen. Awesome. So I can't read the rest of Marcus Freeman's quotes, but hey, that's what it is. So there's that. Marcus Freeman, I guess, is going to spend more time on defense. I don't know if that is going to 100% fix the issue, but something needs to be done there. I don't necessarily think it's a whole Chris Ash thing. I think it's more of one of those deals that he is trying to get it figured out, and also bringing in a new coordinator, getting everything in line, in sync, that's just pretty much what it is. I think that has a lot to do with it. And then there is that. As we go to from Notre Dame, we have the winless teams still in college football: Sam Houston, Notre Dame, Western Michigan, uh, San Jose State, Oregon State, UMass, Eastern Michigan, Akron, Miami of Ohio, UCLA, and Virginia Tech. Fun fact: two of these programs that are on this list has already fired their head coach. But also two of the programs are also 0-3. So there is that little tidbit also. Do I think that it's going to be a wholesale change defensively at Notre Dame? I think it's too early to just completely tear it down and get it completely knocked out. I think Notre Dame has issues up front on the defensive line. I've kind of felt that they've had that issue. It's just makes it really tough when you bring in a new coordinator and you're expecting to keep the, how do I want to say this, the same amount of expectation. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what was up with that. It might have been people celebrating, to be honest. That's kind of what I was thinking of what would have been going on down there at A&M. I guess they had some issues with that. There is that. Where was I at? Marcus Freeman. If I can get this whole article to load now. But Marcus Freeman goes on to say, we have to figure it out. That's why those explosive plays can occurred. Freeman said, I could get up here and say execution, but that's what lack of execution comes down to. It falls on the coaches to make sure our guys can excel. Kind of feels like Freeman kind of threw the defensive staff under the bus there. Not to get too deep into it, but that's kind of the way it looked to me, the way he was projecting it. Thursday night football for college. They're going to have Charlotte versus Rice. Don't know how many people are going to be tuning into that. That's going to be, I wouldn't say fairly interesting. The Friday night game that's going to be on ESPN. I think that going into this, if they lose this game, if Mike Gundy loses to Tulsa, does Oklahoma State fire him on the field? Because I think because for Oklahoma State, this is something that I think that a lot of people haven't really, I don't know what the heck this is. What are we doing here? This computer's going wild. But anyway, Oklahoma State, they beat UT Martin. They got boat raced by Oregon. So they have Tulsa, which could be another win. They should beat Tulsa. To be honest, they really should. They have Baylor, Arizona. I don't think that Baylor, Arizona are gimmies. Houston looks good. Don't really know what Cincinnati is. They look good against Nebraska at times, had some bad mistakes. We're going to find out a lot about Texas Tech when they play Utah at noon. And then they got to go on the road at Kansas, then Kansas State, UCF, and end it with Iowa State. Not really looking too promising for Gundy and the Cowboys, the old Pokes. So we'll see. That's just kind of where I'm at on it. I think Gundy is on the um on the end of it. Hold on one second. I gotta check something. Get that done. But yeah, apologize for that, everybody. Um, there's that. As I'm looking at the Oklahoma State schedule, I think that if you get if they lose to if they end up losing to how do I want to say this? If they end up losing to Tulsa, I think it's Dunzo. To be honest, it might be Dunzo for Gundy. Uh, maybe not currently at the moment, but it might be at the end of the year. That's kind of what I'm thinking. It might. I don't know how. I don't know how you would keep him there after a loss like that. Um, but also, I am kind of pulling for Houston. I am somebody that owns a couple of 5.5 win tickets for the Cougs. So, not that I'm looking too much into that or too much down the road. Also, Rutgers, Iowa, Friday night. That is going to be a rough one. Not a lot of offense. The over under at 45. I'm shocked by that. And then we get into the Saturday slate. Pretty much the big game at noon is Utah, Texas Tech. There is that. Just looking at some of those things, I'm just scrolling through some news. There's that. I guess we got time. Also, Green Wave news. John Summerall asked about Old Miss today. We got to play the best we have all year to have a chance. It's going to be a handful. We better freaking wake up. Great opportunities, so many things that stress you out. Daunting, they are extremely fast. I think that that's going to be a very interesting endeavor. The Tulane Ole Miss game. Some people don't think it's going to be interesting. I think that game could get interesting depending upon the health of Austin Simmons. Just very curious on that. Appreciate everybody watching. Just checking it out right here. I'm trying to see where my guy's at. I'll get that figured out. Sorry about that TikTok, but yeah. So we'll hop into this Josh Heupel Kirby Smart thing. I thought this was very interesting. Tennessee is 3-23 in its last 26 home games under Heupel. All three of those losses have came to Kirby and the Dogs. I think tremendously. To be honest, Kirby has had Tennessee's number. I think he's beat them 8 times in a row. I think the last time Tennessee beat Georgia, Butch Jones was the coach. So I think if anybody's got a heck of a chance to get it, it's Heupel. It's going to be tough with Kirby there, but it's just kind of one of those things that they've got to do to get it done. But we'll look at playoff chances here. The percentages: Tennessee at 28, SMU, Utah, Michigan, UNLV, Florida State. It's really shocking. Florida State's down that low. And then you have TCU, Indiana, Notre Dame. Notre Dame is, I think it makes it really tough. Notre Dame doesn't control their own destiny anymore. So there is that for what it is. I don't think they control their own destiny at all. And then Oklahoma's still down there. Tech, Auburn, Illinois, Tulane, Boise, BL. Hey, Goldberg, do you realize since you fell off the Ohio State bandwagon and became a Notre Dame fan, Notre Dame has sucked? I'm not on any bandwagon there, Lee. I'm not on any bandwagon. But here are the guys with the upgraded playoff percentages. Ohio State leads the way. Penn State. I think one of the more interesting teams that are kind of on that fringe list is they have Missouri right there. And Missouri's big favorites this weekend against South Carolina. I really think that's interesting. Missouri being big favorites against South Carolina. So there is that. Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M totally controls their own destiny. They got to meet a showdown with Texas at the end of the year. Miami controls its own destiny. I think a lot of people discounting Alabama for the one-game loss is kind of wild. We're going to find out everything we need to know about them when they go to Georgia, like I said earlier in the program. Memphis, I don't know. Is Memphis better than Tulane or South Florida? I don't think they've played anybody incomparable to what those teams have played. Tulane taking on Ole Miss this weekend. South Florida's already beat Florida, beat Boise, and they got boat raced by Miami, but I'm not so sure that Miami's not for real, and Miami could be the number one team in the nation. So there is that. Louisville, I guess I can buy it that they would have pretty good chances. I'm assuming Louisville's got a favorable schedule. Georgia Tech and USC. I need to see more out of USC before I'm ready to pass judgment on the Trojans. I just can't get behind that. So there is that, I guess. Since my dog Richie isn't going to join, I guess I'll open up the phone lines for a minute and we'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Let me get the phone number in there. Get that put in there. Okay. Turn the ticker back on. All right, the phone number is up. Go Vols, yeah. But yes, the phone lines are open. The number is 260-255-4069. If you want to call, get your calls in. We will take calls for the last, I don't know, segment of the show if you want to call it that. Although I do appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. If you can do us a favor and hit that like and subscribe button and help us grow this thing, that helps us a ton. So yes, the phone lines are open. The number is 260-255-4069 is the number to call. So there is that. I guess we'll go over some other topics while we wait here. So got that going. We shall see. There is that. That's just something that's kind of a bit of a bonus for everybody since I'm flying solo that watches the show and kind of has stuck with us through the times of everything not being 100% certain. We open the phone lines, but as I go down through some games and at a certain point we will cut it off. But there is that. But the phone line is open. 260-255-4069 if you want to call. The phone line is open. So there is that. But I guess we could talk about some of the games coming up this Saturday. I guess Louisville. I'm interested in this Maryland Wisconsin game. Wisconsin 10-point favorites. I find that very fascinating. But one last time, phone line is on the ticker below. The number is 260-255-4069 if you want to call. Go ahead and do it now. Maryland 10-point favorites against Wisconsin. I find that fascinating. Clemson, I'd like Fran Brown, but it might be a tough week for the Qs to come on down there. Virginia Tech, obviously, after relieving Coach Prey of duties, I think that is something to be said there. Eamon throws up. The Fighting Fickles are in some trouble. Yeah, they are in some trouble. I will say that. Another coach who should have never left Cincinnati. Yep, Eamon is right again. I find that very fascinating. As I'm just looking at some stuff, just checking it out, but also the phone lines are open. If you want to call, give me a call at 260-255-4069. Here we go. Another day, another hat. What's your underdog pick of the week? Call it now. Underdog pick of the week. How about you give me the Auburn Tigers and Hugh Freeze? A Hugh Freeze special. I kind of like that. The Hugh Freeze special. Also, did Joey Burrow's fake teeth have turf toe before the news broke? What are the sources say? He's having surgery. Burrow is having surgery, so he is donezo. But we will leave the phone lines open for another 15 minutes. Turn that into Talladega hat for Eldora. I've been to Eldora a bunch, but just never got a hat. But yeah, we'll leave the phone lines open for another 15 minutes. If you guys want to call, go ahead and give us a call. Call now. The number is 260-255-4069. That is the number to call. So yeah, also Michigan 3:30. I think this is the biggest tale of the century. CBS Paramount taking Big Ten action over SEC action. They could have Oklahoma, Auburn at 3:30. Nah, we'll take Michigan, Nebraska. That is. Ugh. If I'm CBS, I am not liking that because CBS and the ratings have been getting crushed by ESPN. I mean, just absolutely dominated in the 3:30 window. NBC has kept their head above water barely, but it's just not been good for the fellas. So there's that. So Notre Dame has Purdue. They should beat Purdue. If Notre Dame loses to Purdue, shut it down for the rest of the year. Another fascinating game. The Ole Miss line is moving more towards Tulane. I picked it up at 12 and a half yesterday. Eamon comes in with the Peacock coverage sucks. Sideline reporting sucks. Rules analyst sucks. Well, I'm not shocked that Peacock sucks, to be honest. But the Peacock side of it, it's what it is. They got to drive sponsorship somehow and membership to that thing. It's just kind of what it is. Because they needed to combine all their forces in order to come up with $7 billion. NBC, CBS, and Fox. I think that's kind of how that kind of just fell apart. And also, none of the Big Ten schools are real thrilled about having the type of coverage that they have. Kirk Fowler and Gus Johnson have nothing to worry about compared to CBS. I understand that. Definitely understand that. I think that's just kind of where it's at, but we'll leave it up. Leave it up for about 13 more minutes. The number to call is 260-255-4069 is the number to call. So if that is something you want to do, you got something on your mind you want to talk about, by all means. I think the transitioning into another game, I think the North Carolina Central Florida game is very fascinating. Honestly, love the ESPN coverage of Ohio State in the playoff. Never thought I'd miss that. Never thought you'd miss night games. But that is where we're at. But I find the I don't know if that might end up on the old phone because Fox has North Carolina UCF. I don't know what number that's going to do. But I think the justification on Fox keeping the noon stuff is the fact that they have the Ohio State Michigan game, and at the end of the week that rivalry week it always does the best. With it being at noon. But they will always have it at noon, so there is that. But UCF, North Carolina, Bill Belichick keeps referring to them as Central. Some people want to make something out of that. I don't know. The NFL's Week 3 slate is out. They've only announced the Fox games are Green Bay, Cleveland, LA, Philly. Yeah, who cares? Thursday night football is going to be a slaughter. It is Miami, Buffalo. But anyway, college football show. Let's go down. What else is interesting? South Carolina, big dogs. 10.5 points to Missouri at Missouri. We'll see where that pans out. Not real hopeful South Carolina can put it back together. But this game got picked up by NBC Peacock. That is going to run. They're going to run a giant Big Ten game, which I would have thought if I was CBS, I would have taken this game instead of Michigan, Nebraska. Illinois, Indiana, two ranked teams, but that slides into 7:30. So I think that's fairly interesting. 10 more minutes, and then we're going to close it up for the night. Nothing really crazy in the late window. Colorado, Wyoming, and USC, Michigan State. That'll probably be what I'll watch during the call-in show, depending on how long that will how much time that'll take up. So there is that. But 9 minutes left. You want to get your call in. Never thought I'd be excited for Illinois, Indiana, Eamon says. Eamon, we got 9 minutes. If you want to get your call in, go ahead and call in, man. The number is 260-255-4069, and we'll end the show with a call. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at the moment. Ah, gotcha. That's kind of what everybody's doing around the time the show's going on. That's why we get tons of traffic after 10 o'clock. You'd be shocked. The majority of the traffic on the show is unbelievable after 10 o'clock. Bowling Green at Louisville can get your tickets as low as $9 if anybody is wondering. And here's a fun one. Dan Mullen is 3-0 right now. Now just hear me out on this. If they can get over the hump, is there anybody on UNLV's schedule to beat them? That is the ultimate question. Because after Miami of Ohio, they go Wyoming, Air Force, although Air Force will probably be tough. I know they've been bad, but and I guess they are coming to Vegas, but at Boise, New Mexico, at Colorado State. What are the Mountaineer, or not the Mountaineers, but what has Colorado State done this year? They've all but kind of fell off the map. They lost to Washington, beat Northern Colorado. They got UTSA, Washington State, San Diego State, Fresno, Hawaii, Wyoming, UNLV, New Mexico, Boise State, Air Force. That's an interesting dynamic there that they have. That they got for Colorado State. But yeah, I think if we can do a little bit of a look ahead, what are we looking at for week 5 is something that I'm kind of curious about. The week 5 games starts off with Army, ECU. All right. Florida State plays on Friday night. That's fascinating. ESPN has a doubleheader. They actually have good games on next week, Friday night. You have TCU, Arizona State, Florida State, Virginia, and Houston at Oregon State. Don't know how good that'll be. Although they've technically said they haven't released game times yet, but Ohio State's going to play at 3:30 against Washington. I know Big Noon is probably just, when they got the news that game was not eligible to go at Big Noon, they were probably crying. But Big Noon is going to take USC at Illinois. They're banking Illinois beating Indiana. even if Illinois loses to Indiana, Indiana's going to play in primetime again. They're going to go to Iowa. They're on Peacock. I guarantee you that's 7:30. UCLA at Washington, or UCLA at Northwestern. I would say that will be a noon game. Notre Dame, Arkansas is already locked in at noon. Ole Miss, LSU is 3:30. Along with A&M, Auburn, ABC, ESPN. That is a banger for the SEC. Tennessee, Mississippi State going to be 4:15. Ooh, I forgot. Georgia, Bama. Yeah. Georgia, Bama. Then ABC is going to have Georgia, Bama. And then you're going to have BYU, Colorado on ESPN. That's a good 5 hours of viewing. Now I got to make the decision. Do I go Auburn, A&M, LSU, Ole Miss? What is the bigger game? I guess we'll figure out after this week. And then Notre Dame's at noon. Notre Dame at Fayetteville. At Arkansas. Who does Arkansas have this week? Arkansas they are at Memphis. That is very fascinating. But as we get to rolling the show down, or winding the show down, I appreciate everybody who takes the time to come hang out with us. Yeah, Richie apologizes he couldn't make it on tonight, but I appreciate everybody takes the time. We're gonna have Auburn, Oklahoma at 3:30 is what's gonna kick the streaming schedule off. Nothing really big in the noon. I know definitely we will have Georgia, Bama on. That is going to be a interesting endeavor. We're just going to have so much content coming in the next few weeks. Appreciate everybody who watches. We'll be back tomorrow. I think I might do the NFL show in the morning. I'm not 100% sure yet. Haven't decided on that. But yeah, well, that's where we might get it shaked out. Appreciate Eamon and Bill and everybody who joined the stream tonight. Keeping it real. That is kind of where we're at this point. But yeah, we're gonna have full coverage all day Saturday. Sunday, obviously, we're off. So yeah, there is that. I don't think there's any other major programming notes. We might have some guests on this weekend. Might see what everybody's doing. Might have Richie come make an appearance this weekend, so that would be great for us. So there is that. But as we come to an end here, if you made it this far, if you could do us the biggest favor in the world, if you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button. It's better than money, I promise you. But with that being said, I think we're going to close it for the evening. Appreciate everybody who tuned in tonight. So there is that. But we will be back tomorrow. NFL show might be in the morning. Might do a super early morning NFL show. So there is that. So appreciate everybody, and we will talk soon.